In today's video, I'll share my complete guide going in depth with how I plan to become eligible for their upcoming airdrop, everything you need to know from bridging to the chain to interacting with the different dApps. So let's get into the video, but of course, leave a like if you enjoy this type of content and you want to see more, and stick around by hitting that subscribe button. Now, ZkSync just released their zero knowledge EVM in the so-called full launch alpha, which essentially means that this chain is now open for users to interact with. For a long time, they've been in either baby alpha or this fair onboarding alpha, where dApps have been using the testnet. They've been busy working on deploying on this mainnet so that once it is open for users, well, there is something to interact with. And as of now, there aren't that many dApps that we can interact with, but over the coming weeks and over the coming months, a lot of the larger protocols like Curve Finance, Uniswap, Balancer, and so forth, they will be launching on this Ethereum scaling solution because it is incredibly anticipated. And so this zero knowledge EVM is what ZkSync calls ZkSync Era. Now, a few days ago, ZkSync Era, this zero knowledge EVM, has actually gone live to mainnet, and in just a week's time, they have already seen over $100 million being bridged from Ethereum mainnet to this scaling solution, which also really goes to show that this has been incredibly anticipated. And you can probably also make the conclusion that a large amount of this value that has been bridged to this network is also related to this airdrop farming. And so when can we expect this to happen? When will ZkSync Era actually launch their ZkSync native token? We know that Arbitrum went over a year without a token. Optimism, another scaling solution layer 2 on top of Ethereum, also went quite a long time without a native token. And this actually has something to do with how far they are in the process of decentralizing the network. And we can take a closer look to see how Arbitrum actually distributed their ARB token. I'm sure you have seen this website in the past couple of weeks, but some things that they really prioritized when it came to selecting who should receive large amounts of this native governance token was people who, of course, bridge to the mainnet and also Arbitrum Nova. It's also transactions over time. So it's not enough to just transact with the network just one time. You need to be a returning user, but there is also frequency and interaction. So interacting with a ton of different smart contracts is important as well. It is also important that it is more than just $1 or $2 that you actually interact with, but that you also swap a large amount of value, as you can see here. And the size of assets you're bridging onto the network also matters, as you can see here. And in my opinion, I think that Arbitrum actually did a quite good job when it comes to actually making this airdrop kind of fair, excluding a lot of the bots that were really just farming this airdrop, because they are prioritizing returning users and people who are actually using the network with significant value. People who are bridging large amounts, doing it over a large amount of times, people who are interacting with a lot of smart contracts and are also doing a lot of volume. So these are also some things we need to keep in mind when it comes to being eligible for the ZkSync airdrop. So now let's move on to talk about how I recommend that we interact with the new ZkSync Era mainnet. And the first thing you need is, of course, a browser wallet like MetaMask or Block Wallet or some other solution. You need to have some funds on Ethereum mainnet. And once you have that, well, we can head over to Chainlist, which I will also leave down below in the description, and you can search up ZkSync here, and by connecting your wallet you actually add this chain to your wallet so you can see how many funds you have here on the ZkSync Era mainnet. Once you've done that, you head to the bridge here, and all of the links and the websites that I'm showing in today's video will of course be linked down below in the description, so don't you worry about that. And in order to interact with the dApps on ZkSync Era, well, you need funds there obviously, and the bridge here, the native ZkSync bridge, well, you're able to bridge some different tokens like ETH, USDC, Perp, and some other tokens from Ethereum mainnet and onto this scaling solution. So bridge some funds, and in general, as we also just talked about with the Arbitrum airdrop, bridge more than once, bridge more than $10 if you can, because that's likely one of the main criteria for this airdrop eligibility. Now, once we actually have funds here on ZkSync, we also need to use them in dApps. And where can we see what kind of dApps that we can actually interact with? Well, if you head to the home page of ZkSync, you go up to network here and you press on explore the ecosystem, you're actually able to view a lot of the different dApps that either already have have or are working on launching here on ZkSync Era. We can see that Mute.io and Argent already have launched, but a lot of other protocols like 1inch, Balancer, Anchor, and if you scroll down, SushiSwap, Yearn Finance, I know Uniswap is also here, Curve Finance, Chainlink, pretty much all of the large DeFi protocols. If you go to Mute here, we can press enter app, and this is, as mentioned, a decentralized exchange. So what are you able to do here? Well, you're able to swap tokens. So what you can do is you can swap some Ethereum for some USDC, the other way around, etc. Because this essentially shows that you're using the dApps, you are interacting with smart contracts, and you're also transacting volume. ZkSwap is very similar. As you can see, you're also able to swap assets. At the moment, there aren't that many assets that have launched on ZkSync Era yet, so it's primarily just USDC and wrapped Ethereum. Here on ZkSwap, you can also go to pools here and provide liquidity into one of these liquidity pools, like for example Ethereum and USDC here, which is at the moment actually also generating a quite large APR from the fees being generated by this pair here. And that is essentially what I've been doing so far. I've been bridging funds to the mainnet, and I've been interacting with ZkSwap and Mute.io, providing some liquidity, doing some swaps. However, I believe that we probably have a few months, if not more, for this airdrop eligibility. We used Arbitrum for well over a year before they took the snapshot and decided who should receive the ARB airdrop. So my bet is that we have time. And so to round off this video, the final tips that I can give is that honestly just go to the airdrop allocation page here for Arbitrum and really just study these criteria thoroughly, because it could be very similar as to how ZkSync will be distributing their token. So over the coming months, as more protocols like Curve Finance, Uniswap, 1inch, etc. are launching here, make sure to just interact once in a while, interact with more than $1 or $2, bridge assets back and forth between mainnet and ZkSync. Just be a user. I will likely make more ZkSync videos in the future. This is a very anticipated rollup, and I'm sure that they will be able to build some sort of ecosystem, maybe not of the same grade as Arbitrum, but still nonetheless, I think that there will be plenty of things to actually do on this blockchain. So if you are a day-to-day DeFi user, I think you'll also find things to do in the ZkSync blockchain as more protocols and dApps launch over time. Finally, if you want to be a bit cheeky, you can also do this with multiple wallets. That's how I was able to get a significantly larger allocation of the ARB airdrop, because I had been using the Arbitrum blockchain with several different wallets, and that is essentially also just a good tip. Now, with that being said, that was actually everything I wanted to talk about in today's video, so please leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you want to see more airdrop strategies in the future, please let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.